Zach's neat little plan. We've had so many close calls within just a single night. Zach showing up at Isabella's doorstep, alive, whole and unharmed. I might as well take comfort from that while I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly, the whole room feels too heavy, and all I'm able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in at the same moment, or perhaps this is what release from anxiety feels like. Regardless, I reach up with a hand and pinch the bridge of my nose, even if it will likely do nothing to alleviate the impending pain.
Christ, you were right there! We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there! You just walked up inside a private property!
Yeah.
Those
pretty
people
stupid.
can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've got to do something.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried.
Bless him. Unexpectedly, he laughs, not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward or coming up with an excuse. A genuine one. Before my annoyance grows again and I snap at him though, he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms looping around my neck while grinding his knuckles against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under his grip in protest. Even then, it's hard to do so when you're up against a 6-footer.
Zach!
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go!
He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage in my hair. I hate when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood finally lightens up and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier still.
Seriously, Zach. Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter.
I love that her underwear's still in the background. She just has no shame.
Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me to a silence to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he'd taken before agreeing to go here. And all at once my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I only left him with vague answers.
You could have called me.
Yeah, Zach.
I did.
I didn't receive any and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one that plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head, then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes questioning, asking for confirmation like my words can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all of flashes fleeting across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
Never gets to finish that. Abruptly, my phone rings again, blaring its badly sang ringtone throughout the whole room.
Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City.
Bad guys watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble?
Now you know where the
Better
title
not
came
lie.
from.
I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City.
Bad guys watch out, can't beat me.
Both of them
Looking for
pause,
trouble?
waiting when I pull
Better
it
not
up
lie.
to
I'm a
check the
cool
caller
dude,
ID.
Becca.
pretty fly for an
I'll tell her
Asian
to get
guy.
here as soon as she can.
Sup,
Excuse
I'm
me.
Ash from Deluxe City.
Without
Bad
another
guys
word, I
watch
slip
out,
out of the room and
can't
answer the
beat me.
call.
Looking
However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Are you there?
Oh, we never saw this phone call. Her story ended as soon as she basically threw a book at a fucking ghoul's head. Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just ran a marathon prior to making this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
The quick press of a button, I switch to the loudspeaker and step back into Isabella's apartment. Hold out the phone towards the two, give it 2 shakes, urging them to speak, both still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger on it for too long. It only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
Oh, the Scooby Gang's all here?
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive, although she seems a bit shaken, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces, a small reaction the younger woman didn't even catch. Sets a precedence for a careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more dishevelled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. Also, she's leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened, and how did she end up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab for her arm before she walks past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there is really an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the question, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Try to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact someone has brought it into the light. But that someone also has to make sure. Are you alright?
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from her grasp, it's enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with 2 more people shooting a concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her own arm nursing the supposedly fine arm, Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly she goes very still and the hand placed on her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough of a gesture to comfort for herself. Warily she casts a glance at everyone in the room, but only the one she spares, for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly unfamiliar her expression is. Oh, how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time she attempts to warn us, have been so rudely
Let me see.
dismissed.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Yeah,
Tell
no
me
shit.
about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you.
Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Oh, but she
Wrap
did!
it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere.
She just went whoop, knocks that ghoul out.
And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call, another would have, another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at some point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
Please do not cut Ashton's story here. Please do not cut Ashton's story here. Please do not cut Ashton's story here. That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. As soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress as promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room, although there's some tense fumbling for words. First, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Whew.
Hey, wait, what are you doing? Listen to me. Look, you love this woman, don't you?
Yes.
You want to hold her?
I accidentally pressed it.
Please her?
Yes.
Then you got to try a little tenderness. The chicks love that romantic crap.
I accidentally hit my hotkey for my soundboard, so yeah, that was a little out of the blue. Right. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of it still makes any fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. And the next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room and everybody simply falls silent, along with it a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her, the very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Yeah.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? Yeah, precisely. How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it. Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this.
Completely forgot about the priest. 28th? 29th. Or was it the 27th? Yeah. The priest freaked out because he was seeing the woman behind Zach.
I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. Copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noble woman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavour on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here. All we have to go on is the mansion, the letter, and all of the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. At present, everything seems to point to where this all started, the Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? The mansion's a private property now, we can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I think of even begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act as fast as I can if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks on my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed, time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes its way out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked, they waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms. Her own movements, sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly the lights go out and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person, I'm not even sure if this would work on a ghost, but right now its smooth surface against my palm and the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Whereas they all are, they immediately stop at the sight and at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there, while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. I've now got hiccups. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. And the next moment, I'm grasping the handles and swinging the door open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whatever or whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Jesus Christ. This ghoul is just not letting them rest. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. The next second, I'm barking orders.
We should go. Everyone, we need to...
I sense sprawling on my back as something cold snatches at my ankle and yanks. He's under the thing. Shit. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head collides against the floor with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. Foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience, or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, in the minute her eyes land on me, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores onto me. I'll say, the look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times, from suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone who can no longer be reasoned with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be there.
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No. Can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind as instinct kicks in, and then...
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out from a grip and scramble towards my feet, ignoring the piercing wails as she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach, and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while, I'm driving us out of Salem Well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last one of the women's painful cries fade into the night. Holy fuck. Ooh. She is persistent. Them. And now that's cool. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation led to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like the one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged out an eyeball, his own eyeball, and almost ate it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I didn't doubt anything can top getting cursed by a goddamn chain letter of all things. Yeah, this is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on the cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end. We're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state in my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago, I haven't slept at all, and my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take better care of myself. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. Story updated. I'm guessing whenever it said story updated, it's something to do with this. I don't know. I can already hear Isabella complaining about how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and how I reek, and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins, the desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound around my ankle, and that horrid smell she's had on her since she pulled me close. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From a dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Oh, so that's Ophelia. It's his gun. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxbourne police regulations only authorise people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization, but I never really saw the need for its use when the standard issue taser are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on the back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid, and has its uses too. On a ghost though, all those are probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. That I can still protect those who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. Doesn't take the edge off, though. The feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me now... The story's updating a lot, but there's nothing going into my journal. So yeah, I can only assume it's this branching path, and I'm assuming it's updating because of the choices and relationships I've made with the characters so far. I'm almost inclined to think this is the point of no return. Every game has a point of no return. I think this is literally the game updating everything and basically saying, right, you've made your decisions, now live with it. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. The stretch is still in order though. I've been sitting here since last night. As soon I step out of my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxbourne, normal. In the distance beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are billowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Yeah, maybe not. Still, I bask in the changes it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it will be my last. But as with all good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. Is it going to be Isabella? The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance out, I find them. Zach, Rebecca and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience food store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will even be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. Not like any of us have gotten any ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second. Or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now from afar, it's easy to mistake them from just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks, something funny or amusing probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. Easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in life or death situations the way they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays the mask. Slightly dishevelled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in the shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they've dribbled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be of the same mind too. Soon enough, they'll start with theirs. No casual talk. While we fill our empty stomachs, exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. For it all to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done dumping the empty cartons in nearby waste bins. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted, admittedly. I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. Things we've taken for granted. Now we're realising how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humour. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves of this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. Curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look at me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so back when I was at the top of my game and still sure of everything. Now, there's just an uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has stopped working here and we've started grasping at straws. Along with the exhaustion, fatigue and stress, we've all had enough kindling to get a fire burning. Oh, they're just making a fire. Oh wait, no. The not so pleasant kind of fire. Please say our relationships are good. We're all good with you, Rebecca. Zachary's a little under. Well, Zachary's on the dot. Just as I was saying, point of no return. The not so pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid, chain letter you were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
Fuck off, Becca. Bitch.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have.
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now you're throwing it back at us? We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
That face.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough! Everyone, shut up!
Well, Ashton. They all fall to silence as my words. An awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I don't mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when anytime, anywhere, she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet we are here playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost really mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so we can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now. If her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us and rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner that I can figure all of this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe in the next words coming out of my own mouth. They're out for everybody. I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more of their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned after just one unfortunate incident. Am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Jesus Christ. Come on. Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than I needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling in me. I'm not even sure what or who I'm angry at. The ghost? At them? Maybe at myself for being this useless? Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit, they're still counting on me. In spite of my failures or every harsh word I've uttered, how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yeah, it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even though my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. Might as well just throw ourselves at the ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink when you're stressed. Maybe often than not it's loud. More than often it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's a definition of the last place I'd hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Hopefully that's cleared my throat. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place, makes it easier to find help in case you're finding yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons. Might be a little rough around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after the people important to me, it's probably him. He means well, surprisingly despite his surly demeanour, cares to some extent. For people he likes, he likely only sees once or twice a week or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down, whatever inhibitions anyone has, and it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. Made him observant too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me, opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked him for help when I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room in the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards the station hours later after getting that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinks, glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when we enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping all of them clean, likely prepping for tonight's use. Briefly he glances up at me. Wants to claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied when my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at this dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip or sat here on the same spot just talking with the old man, I've never been too fond of drinking in the first place. Yet, oddly, it's the nasty odour of brewery that helps clear the mind in this time. Along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, though my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up into a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work, rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with the thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumptions is correct and the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit that place in the morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased not even thinking they might be in danger as well. During the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and, well, they did. Fuck.
Stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
Likely the moment when Cooper saw it. The logic holds, I need to hurry there right away, and if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there where all this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here, there are others. What happened to us? I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are voices laced with venom inside every crevice in my head, murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
Because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Hold on, were they meant to be Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella's voices?
It's because you didn't listen. It's because you didn't listen.
Well, that doesn't sound like Zach.
It's all your fault.
That's Rebecca.
Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I've failed to do and who I've failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it back as far as I can, the visions come to me in a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown. Another voice pulls me out of
You
it.
doing good there, boy?
His hand is on my shoulder, gripping tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although a frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. Deeper now, married with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people after all. Even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the Force, there's only one other person who's keen as this old man. The Chief. Funny and weird to some degree. Pointed out to so many times how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy, whatever it is. It's clear that it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glared down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a goddamn rookie
You're
again.
looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Not with her face, still a clear picture in my head now.
Dad, heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since they closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now, something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Sounds about right.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, moving, his hand stopped short of placing a glass he's been wiping prior back in the rack to his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put up in the same position. Even now, in spite of all the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case, for people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
Must have been what Isabella felt the whole time when we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after After a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
True. Although I want to be angry at him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own. Here, I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
It's not humour. He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only thing remaining are the small kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement doesn't entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that. It's if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
Must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels from both of us as he allows the meaning of it to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling of both heavy and forceful but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away and begins his work on the silverwares. He'll need those too once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. Sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. Fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it ends with a loud shuffling on foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence, like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. Now he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's been the kind to barrel headfirst. He's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things or forgo courtesy, despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother Henning belies her fiery temper, or Isabella's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There has been a lot of those in my life, it seems, more so the people I've grown close to over the years. Walking contradictions, we all are. To wonder how we end up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's also exactly why, to some extent, there's still an understanding in there, in knowing that no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes they may be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely choose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly gauging the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me between us, it never will be, but somehow this is another thing I'm too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word and if this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses stuff both into his pockets and trained his eyes on the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back into the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zack trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
The start, at least. A stiff one, but a start. Least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him and his shoulders relax and releases a tense breath. Soon, he's closing the distance and has put between distance he has put between us and flops into the chair to my
I
right.
think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts into the seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. The situation where death might come knocking at any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature, hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. No, I want to be. I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. Just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can even remember the last time something like this. No, I can't even remember the last time something like this has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zack, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to another. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zack has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like an older brother I never had, the kind that you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply... The kind you simply tell things to, simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
Doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once over. The mansion. Of course, Zack may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet throughout the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zack.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede, not from the manner he grips his knee or the rigid set of his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. One of those times, again, where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start?